Yo, what is good, everyone? We got wild card weekend, Friday live, big Deke news. Excited for it, man. First Steelers home game in a minute, ever since that Browns wild card game back in 2020 that ended in absolute disaster. And it wasn't even really a home game because that was around COVID. I think like only 2,500 or 5,000 fans could be in the stadium. And then you got to go back to like 2017 for like the last real home playoff game. Gonna be a good weekend, man. Monday Night Football. All the stars are in alignment in our favor in terms of being a Monday night game at home. Tomlin, like we haven't lost a Monday night game at home, I think dating back to the 90s. And obviously Tomlin in those circumstances, really good as well. So we got a lot of the juju and mojo in our favor for this one. Texans are a tough team, but I think this Steelers team, and based how they've been playing this last like month or so, is up for the occasion. So actually, it's funny. I just started the stream off talking about Wild Card Weekend, Steelers Texans. I'm actually not going to preview the game on today's live stream. I think we got enough topics to go over to save the preview for tomorrow. I'll do like just a separate video, probably not live, on the Monday Night Football Steelers Texans wild card game preview. Today we're going to do playoff quarterback rankings. I got my list. It took me a little bit, but I think I got it all sorted out and it makes sense to me. We're going to go over a comment that James Harrison made on his podcast, the Debo and Joe podcast, revolving around Arthur Smith and how Debo doesn't even want Arthur Smith back. I think half the time Harrison's just throwing out a bunch of hot takes these days on that podcast, but it's always entertaining and something to react to. And then we'll also go over a couple cut candidates that have been revealed, and kind of one of the two are kind of surprising, but we'll get into that. And I'll obviously check in with you guys in the comments, see if you guys have any interesting takes to go over. But let me do a little check-in before we start off with this main topic. What's good, bro? Landlin, G-Boss F with the goat emoji. Appreciate it, bro. Dusty, 2040. What up, bro? That dude Peavy's in the house. Yeah, here's the official date since we've lost a Monday Night Football game at home. It was October 1991. So that's even cower. That's really a cower in Tomlin set. We're talking about how the non-losing season stat is heavily Tomlin based because it's been 19 years with Tomlin. There's a few years of cower thrown in there. 22 consecutive non-losing seasons for the Pittsburgh Steelers as a franchise. That's literally an NFL record. And we attribute most of that to Tomlin. But like October 9, 1991, that's a combination of Tomlin and Cowher. Actually, that might even be a little bit of, is that a season of Chuck Noll too? 91? Holy hell. It is a heat wave in the Berg, bro. It's warm outside. It's really nice, but it's going to start getting colder for that Monday night game. It's going to be around normal temperatures that you would expect for an early January game. It's going to be like mid 30s, and probably by night it's going to drop to the high 20s, low 30s, that type of vibe. Dusty 2040 finally caught a live. Been a minute. Appreciate it, dude. Andy Watson Sr. saying this is my first live. Yeah. Mad Matt 308. So here's the plan. I'm glad you asked. I think this is the plan for Monday night, because I was going back and forth. What should I do for this game? Because if I go, that hurts the post-game reaction live content because of traffic, internet connection, or Wi-Fi connection over at the stadium, that type of stuff. It's like, yeah, I might not be able to go live for a couple hours after the game. But I also think there is something to be said for being in the mix, being in the atmosphere. It has been literally a minute since we've had a home playoff game, and there's no guarantees of when that's going to happen again. And me personally, I've never been to a Steelers playoff game. So what I said to myself is, what if I could do a little bit of like best of both worlds here, where I go to the game, I can still get you some immediate coverage afterwards, but also a live reaction when I finally get back to my crib, even though it might be a little bit delayed. As long as I let you guys know about the timing, maybe it could be worth the wait, especially I'll be able to come at it from an in-game experience perspective. Maybe you guys would appreciate that. So I think that's what I'm doing. I think I'm going to the game. The plan would be to get you some sort of content like close to right after the game. Maybe it's like a 5-minute video, 10-minute video, 15-minute video, whatever it is, where it's like I'm down there. Let me just get you something, immediate reaction. This is what's on my mind. Have at it. And then however long it takes me to get back to the crib, then I'll go live. If the game's what at 8 something, probably gonna wrap up around 11:30. If you guys up for it, maybe I'm going live around 12:30, 1 o'clock. If you guys are up for it. But I think that's the energy. I do think there's something to be said for like being at the game. And I'll probably be able to get you guys some stuff, get you guys some context or content, I'm sorry, throughout the course of the game. Like while I'm down there. If you guys want to like follow me over on Instagram, I'm actually kind of getting my Instagram popping off again a little bit, working on the TikTok game. So if you guys want to follow me over there on those platforms. Now, again, the problem with being down at the stadium and doing that stuff is sometimes it takes a minute for that shit to upload. So it might be a little bit sporadic. Might not be the most perfect coverage of the game down there, but I think that's the plan. What do you guys think of that? I think that's just what I got to do. That's my obligation. I talked it through with my buddy. I'm like, I don't know, man. You know, a live post game at the crib immediately after the game. There's something to be said for that. But I also think there is something to be said for actually like being at the game. All right. I appreciate it. G Boss says go to the game. The wait would be worth it. I don't have Snapchat. No, I got TikTok. I got Instagram. So follow me on those. I also got Twitter, but I'm never on Twitter. So I wouldn't worry too much. Or maybe I'll start using Twitter again though. Because that's the thing. I'm back on using some Instagram and TikTok. I do have some content on there now, and I plan on using those platforms over the course of the year. Going back to what I was saying last week on the Friday Live when you guys were talking about or asking me what's New Year's resolution, what's the big plans for the year. It's like, man, I want to go all in, man. I just want to give this thing that I'm doing here is my job. Not saying I haven't in the past, not saying I haven't even last year, but it's like I want to take things up another level. I want to reach my full potential. I want to not leave anything out on the table. So Instagram and TikTok will be utilized for content. Torsha Jackson, wear a blue wig, you'll get on TV. Probably not for good reasons. All right, you guys are saying you're down for the live stream a couple hours after the game. Wait, why am I trying to antagonize DK? He's on the Steelers, man. I'm not trying to wear a blue wig and get him booted from the wild card game in which we need him. Yeah, I think so. I just talked about it for the last like couple minutes. Lucho Hundo asked you going to the game, Deke. Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like it. Go, bro. Only live once. Enjoy. Yep. Yeah, the only thing I'm pissed off about with it will be getting home after the game. Like there's just gonna be a delay there. But if you guys are fine with a little bit of a delay, I'll pop on the live too afterwards. Good or bad, we need a Deke overreact after the game. That's what I mean. I'll give you something 5-10 minutes maybe right after the game as I'm like walking from the stadium or whatnot. That'll be up, and then however long it takes me to get back home, then we'll go live. We'll chop it up live for a little bit. This is an option. How do we feel about this? Go live from the Spearmint Rhino. I think the views will start skyrocketing. Maybe a sponsorship in the future. Uh, maybe a little buzzed. I don't know about blitzed. Maybe a little buzzed. Try to keep some composure out there. Definitely a little buzzed. Feeling myself a little bit, but blitzed. I've been blitzed, man. You've seen those before. I don't know if I really got to revisit that again, but who knows? YOLO, as one of you guys said, one in Rome. Who's your trucker? Do you think Rodgers wears an armband just in case this game? Because of the headset thing? Is that what you're talking about? I feel like he doesn't wear an armband typically. So I don't know. I think he could call the plays without it, even with the headset going bad. And that's what I'm guessing you're getting at here is he needs that for reference. Just to like something to look at, because if the play's not called in, is he able to just spit one out like that? I mean, worst case scenario, he could just draw up a play on his hand. Like, all right, you go here, over there, bunch formation. Calvin Austin, you get on this side, run this route. So my guess is no. Get the hats ready for Monday night. I think that's the plan. I'm going to wear a hat and have the tape that's actually still on the hat, the AFC North champions. I'm just gonna keep that on. And I guess if the Steelers can, well, there's nothing to really add to it if we win this game. AFC champions would be the next one. So that's 2 games away. Well, you'd have to win 3 games actually. 2 games away from the AFC championship, but to actually get AFC conference champions on there, you got to win 3. Winning the wild card, that doesn't really change anything. So, I think I'll wear one. Do I keep the tape on it though? Yeah, I feel like it's bad advertising. One of you guys said in the chat, like, bro, don't act like these hats are useless now. Like that's bad for business, bad for the brand. A lot of people bought them. Like, why are you acting like just because we won the division, we're in the playoffs, that the hats are useless? The hats are very much useful. Trust me, they are, because we are non-losing season champions. But you can't take that away from us. It's like the NBA Cup. 22 seasons in a row for the Steelers franchise. So no matter how far we go in the playoffs, no matter if we win the Super Bowl or not, we stay non-losing season champions. That's going to be a tough one to beat. It's like a little caveat. It's like a little bonus for the team, for the franchise. Not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is the Super Bowl. The ultimate goal is deep playoff runs, but non-losing season champion. Not a bad little caveat. Not a bad little bonus. Extra. Yeah, you can get one at deek-merch.store. Check it out. I'm gonna post it in the comments. Just talking about it right there. Funny you should ask. I know a spot that sells some dope hats that you're looking for. There you go. Monday Night Football champions. Actually, that's actually a good point. Yes. However many straight Monday night wins at home dating back to 1991. That makes us Monday night champions. Yes, I would say so. All right, let's get to this first topic. James Harrison talking about Arthur Smith getting interviewed with the Tennessee Titans. And he added his 2 cents on what he wants to happen in that situation. And also why. Him and Joe Hayden even chimed in as well. Usually it's James Harrison just coming off the top rope with takes, but Joe Hayden even added something in this one. So give me 1 second.
Arthur Smith. Didn't he already OC somewhere? Like, I don't think that's the dude that I want to try and develop my rookie quarterback or second year quarterback, whatever, he'll be, is Arthur Smith as the head coach. Like,
but right now, I think it's going to be good because we got A-Rod. He's talking to all these dudes. He can figure it out, and that's what they've been doing this year. So to get through this season, I like it. But moving forward with the OC, if you want to get more creative and being able to have anybody come in there, quarterback, putting them in positions to where people are going to just be schemed more open, it'll make it easier.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I hope he get the job. Just because he's not here anymore. I mean, that's
so first Harrison talks about how he doesn't even think Arthur Smith is really a good candidate to be a head coach for the Titans because of Cam Ward going into his second year. Doesn't really think Arthur Smith's the quarterback developmental type of coordinator. I guess in this case, it would be head coach. He doesn't think Arthur Smith can upgrade Malik Willis's game. He's not that type of guy. And then goes on to say at the end that he wants Arthur Smith to take the Titans job, even though he doesn't really feel like he's qualified, just to get him up out of Pittsburgh because he doesn't think he's necessarily I wouldn't say not doing a good job, but he doesn't think Arthur Smith is the right guy to develop the Steelers' future quarterback either. He feels like if you listen to the full clip, he also brings up Rodgers, and Joe Hayden hinted to it a little bit there, how Rodgers has had a huge impact in Arthur Smith and the Steelers' offense success. Like, Smith wouldn't do as well with a younger quarterback compared to having an Aaron Rodgers. And I guess you could even look back to last year, Russell Wilson, although that was a weird scenario with the whole Fields thing and then Russell Wilson. But in terms of just specifically this year and the Steelers' success over the second half of the season as an offense, Harrison, Joe Hayden, they believe it's more about just Aaron Rodgers doing Aaron Rodgers type of things, drawing up plays in the dirt, doing his hot routes, his audibles, as opposed to Arthur Smith actually scheming guys open and having this innovative and creative offense. Partly I could see where they're coming from, but on the other side of things, like, Arthur Smith just flat out right has been a good offensive coordinator, and he has a mixed bag in terms of quarterback development. Now, Ryan Tannehill, Justin Fields, I think those guys were successful under Arthur Smith because Tannehill, he was an afterthought. Miami moved off of him, former first-round pick. They thought he was just going to be a career backup for the rest of his NFL life. Goes to the Titans. He's sitting under Marcus Mariota. Mariota sucks first 4 or 5 weeks of that season. I think it was 2019. They put in Tannehill, and he has a career resurgence and helps lead the Titans to the AFC Championship against Patrick Mahomes. And then I think the next year, Tannehill had a career year, goes for like 30-something plus touchdowns, makes a Pro Bowl. Like, was borderline a top 10 quarterback under Arthur Smith. I think a large part of that was also helped by them having Derrick Henry. And then you see Arthur Smith with the Falcons. You get like a Matt Ryan season in there. He drafts Desmond Ridder in the 3rd round, and development doesn't really happen. And that scenario is like the chicken or the egg. Do you think Desmond Ridder just sucked and there was no offensive guru or head coach, coordinator that could save Desmond Ridder? Or did Arthur Smith not do a good job developing him? Part of me thinks that it's just Desmond Ridder wasn't good. I'm not even saying part of me, actually. I just feel like Desmond Ridder is not a good quarterback. Now, you could say the same thing about like Kenny Pickett. Like, it's the same type of situation. Did the Steelers screw Kenny Pickett over with his development and what they surrounded him with, having Matt Canada as offensive coordinator? Was just Kenny Pickett not that good? And I feel like as time's going on, the truth is being revealed to me that Kenny Pickett's just probably not that good. You know, if anything, maybe we got the highest ceiling out of him. I can't say that certainly, though, because we had Matt Canada. That there was always going to be a certain limit to Kenny Pickett's game with us having Matt Canada, because you saw as soon as we cut Matt Canada, Kenny Pickett like had his best game as a Steeler, almost threw for 300 yards, but then he got hurt. So I digress there in terms of Arthur Smith and just like quarterbacks that he's had under him. Falcons, you know, Ridder, Matt Ryan, I think like Heineke was thrown in there. Was he dealt a bad hand with his quarterbacks, or did he not do as good of a job as he could have? I think that's up for debate. Tannehill, though, you can't really debate. Like, Arthur Smith did really help him. I think a large part of that Titans offense was predicated on the run game, though, and Derrick Henry. But not a coincidence that Tannehill has the best years of his career and Arthur Smith is the offensive coordinator. He got to get some credit for that. And I think part of that is just Arthur Smith being smart in how to utilize the offense. Like, let's not make Tannehill throw it 50 times a game when you have a Derrick Henry, right? Like, tailor your offense for the personnel that you have. And they had a good offensive line, too, back in the day. You had like a prime, I think it was a prime Taylor Lewan. They just from, you know, left tackle all the way over to right tackle. That was a solid unit. But then you look at Arthur Smith as the Steelers offensive coordinator. It's pretty much been a net positive with how he's dealt with quarterbacks. I think you could throw Justin Fields in the category of like a Ryan Tannehill, of like taking him from one spot to the next, being a developmental quarterback, even though both of them were in the league for a certain amount of years at the time that Arthur Smith got to him, compared to in James Harrison's situation, his example he's bringing up, Malik Willis only going into year 2. And then in the Steelers situation, if Aaron Rodgers retires, we're talking about a Will Howard going into year 2 with no starting experience, or potentially like a rookie quarterback, or we sign a Malik Willis who has not too much starting experience in this league. Like, how much different is that versus Tannehill or a Justin Fields with already multiple years under their belt in the league? I mean, I see similarities, and you could just say that the difference is some of those guys don't, or at least the guys that I'm talking about for the Steelers that might be the quarterback, those guys just don't have as much experience. It's like kind of different, but I feel like Fields and Tannehill, stepping into those roles that they had with the Titans, with the Steelers, like there's a reason they became backups, because they didn't live up to their potential with their original teams. Like there was still ceiling to be scratched. And they both did that under Arthur Smith, I feel like. And Fields, we didn't really get to see the full season of him because we made the switch to Russell Wilson. But I think that season as a whole, and then combine it with this season for Arthur Smith as the Steelers coordinator, is a positive, because it goes to show he's been able to work with different quarterbacks at different stages of their careers and with different skill sets. Now, Russ faded at the end, but I feel like he made it work with Russ as best as he could. And then with Justin Fields, we saw the best version of Justin Fields. So you had Fields, who's a developmental type of guy who you're just trying to see if he could get better from where he was in Chicago, limit the turnovers, and start utilizing some of that untapped potential that he has. And we saw that with the Steelers. Russell Wilson, everyone thought he was washed. That's the best Russ has looked over the last like 4 or 5 years. That's with Arthur Smith. And then Aaron Rodgers this year. Obviously, that dynamic is working, and Rodgers has his best year dating back to 2022, his last year with the Packers. Yeah, I think honestly, this is Rodgers' best year since 2021, which was his last MVP season. So for the last like 5 years, this is Rodgers' best year, and it's with Arthur Smith. So I think with Smith, in terms of relating to quarterbacks, he has more positive than negative. So I'm leaning more on him being an okay guy to potentially develop the next quarterback here. Obviously, if Rodgers comes back, then the Arthur Smith-Rodgers fit makes a ton of sense. But if he goes to Tennessee and Rodgers still wants to come back, then we got to look elsewhere. And I do think Mike McDaniel would be my top candidate. I think some people are bringing up Cliff Kingsbury. But again, if the Steelers go further in the playoffs and last a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, McDaniel, Kingsbury, they might be gone. Some of the top end candidates for offensive coordinators might be gone, and we might be scrapping the bottom of the barrel to replace Arthur Smith. So I'm actually hoping Arthur Smith just wants to come back. I have different energy than what James Harrison and Joe Hayden are saying. I think Arthur Smith has worked. Yeah, so there are times where you don't feel like the offense is completely in 2026. Yes, but part of that is due to the personnel that we got. We still have not given Arthur Smith and his offense a legitimate wide receiver 2 just yet. So imagine what it could look like next year with Arthur Smith. Aaron Rodgers comes back. DK Metcalf has another year in the system too. And then we also add a legitimate wide receiver 2. Maybe we draft a guy in the first round to add to this offense. Carnell Tate, one of these top receivers. It's like, man, well, yeah, maybe this could really be better. This could be better than what we've been seeing, and less conservative, a little bit more opened up. And I think we've seen it more opened up just over the last month with us adding MVS, with us adding Thielen into the mix. Rodgers gaining trust with those guys. DK Metcalf starting to explode, starting to become the DK Metcalf we expected him to be before the whole suspension. So I'm thinking Rodgers and Arthur Smith coming back is probably our best option as we sit here today. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. If it all goes to shit, which I don't expect, then maybe we could change the narrative, change the conversation. But I think that's our best option for 2026. Rodgers, Arthur Smith come back we for the most part just run it back with what the offense is. We keep Dylan Cook, Broderick Jones gets healthy. I think our O-line is looking good. Like they still may be able to hit it up another level from where they are right now. And I think they're at least the top 10 offensive line. DK is going to be back. Running backs aren't going anywhere. Although I still don't know if Kenneth Gainwell is on a 1-year deal or if it's 2. Either way, I think we're bringing back Kenneth Gainwell and like him and Jaylen Warren. That's the tandem. Those are the guys Aaron Rodgers would want in his backfield if he's coming back for one last season. And then it's as simple as add maybe another free agent receiver and draft a guy in the 1st or 2nd round. And this offense could even be more lethal. Really could be. And I would like to see what Arthur Smith and Rodgers could do with it if we add another legitimate weapon. Like I would have loved to have seen what it looked like if we had Pickens and DK Metcalf. I think it could have been crazy. But what also could have been crazy is the drama in the locker room because of Pickens. What do you guys think of my Arthur Smith takes there versus what James Harrison and Joe Hayden have to say? Well, first, let me read this from Pete the Penguins Ghost. I'm late, Deke. Love your content. Yeah, thanks for the $10, bro. Been watching for a few years. Keep up the great work. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I could tell you've been watching for a few years because of your handle, Pete the Penguins Ghost. You know that I dropped that reference on the podcast probably like 3 years ago, 3-4 years ago. I was watching a Penguins documentary on YouTube as I was going to sleep. Actually, it might have just been last year. It might have been not that long ago, maybe 2 years ago. I was watching a Penguins documentary before going to sleep. It's on like the Penguins YouTube channel. They talk about the history of the Penguins, how Penguins were created, all that type of stuff. And like probably 10 minutes in, they're talking about how the Penguins actually had a live penguin mascot in the 60s. And something happened to him. He might have died. I don't know if he died on the ice or he died. And did someone stuff him? And he became like the mascot. I can't remember exactly. It was very weird. It was very strange. But I think that's what his name was, Pete the Penguin. I'll have to look up the documentary again. What do you guys think of bringing back Arthur Smith, though? What do you want us to do as, say you were the Steelers front office? What do you want us to do for the coordinator spot? Would you be happier if Arthur Smith walked? Like, even if, say, Arthur Smith doesn't get the Tennessee job, are you just cool letting his contract run out? Because I believe it's a 2-year deal. All right, we got confirmation. Kenneth Gainwell has a 1-year deal. He's coming back. As long as Rodgers, he's just coming back flat out. I don't think Rodgers is going to have too much impact on it. It's only going to help Gainwell's chances of coming back if Rodgers is here. But I think the Steelers are going to want to try to bring back Gainwell because not only Rodgers speaks highly of him, but also Mike Tomlin. The Penguin died of pneumonia. Yeah, and didn't they lose? They lost the Penguin or something. Died of pneumonia. I think someone stuffed them, and then like no one knows where it is. Someone stole them. Right. A very weird scenario. So follow up with this. Cram Production says, I think it depends if Tomlin leaves or not. So if you're saying if Tomlin stays, you want Arthur Smith back. I don't think Tomlin's going anywhere. I think that's a given. I think his job, for the most part, was always going to be safe. Like, we were never moving off of Tomlin. But given how we ended the season, the turnaround, winning the division, and now we got a home playoff game, as long as we don't completely shit the bed, and even if we do shit the bed, I just think Tomlin's going to be back. Haven't won a division in a minute. Bounce back after that 6-6 start. Players want to play for Tomlin. You could tell there's a chip on the player's shoulder. Everyone wants to prove the outside noise wrong. And part of that is having Tomlin as a head coach. Like, he definitely unified the team somehow, some way, whether it's just his presence, but also it could be how he operates on a weekend, a day in and day out basis as a head coach. And that's something players appreciate. That's something Rodgers consistently talks about, how good Tomlin is a motivator, his leadership, his presence in the locker rooms, in these meetings, and how there's something to be said for that. Ebony Clavin, type 1. Deke, happy Friday. Continuity and familiarity is important. Can't keep shuffling players and coaches. Quarterback draft-wise isn't that great, and just add to this team. I think he's saying exactly what I'm saying then. If we can get Rodgers back, go for it. Same with Arthur Smith. We have a developmental quarterback in the wings right now in Will Howard. We don't have to go out of our way in the draft to try to get someone. If anything, since Rodgers will be coming back, it would be smarter to try to add to the offense, because if you have Aaron Rodgers again for 2026, your mentality is we're trying to win a Super Bowl again. We're trying to go all in. So don't pick a guy that you're not enthralled with in the first round as a quarterback. Don't pick Ty Simpson. Don't pick some of these guys that are going to be there wherever we draft late in the first round. Add to the offense, get Rodgers some help, and let's try to make another run at it. And then if Rodgers leaves after 2026, which most likely he would be my guess, that's when you look to bring in a guy to potentially compete with Will Howard to be the future. But I'll tell you what, man, a Will Howard, 2 years in the Steelers system, building that familiarity with Coach G, and who knows if Arthur Smith would be here in 2027 if Aaron Rodgers leaves, or if he takes a head coaching position at that point. Who knows what the future holds there, but a Will Howard, 2 years with the Steelers, under an Aaron Rodgers, learning from Aaron Rodgers, and building that relationship with Mike Tomlin and his teammates, I'd bet on that over a rookie quarterback, whatever round we draft that rookie quarterback in. I don't think the Steelers would necessarily give the preference to Will Howard, though, if we drafted a quarterback in the first or second round. I think just the nature of that investment, that quarterback's going to have the upper hand. But you never know. You never know. Maybe they would start the season with Will Howard. Maybe Will Howard would get the Mitch Trubisky treatment of, technically he's a veteran over this rookie guy, so we'll at least let him start the season. But if things aren't going well, we'll pull the plug and give the rookie some experience. All right, I'm seeing some Terrell Austin comments in here now. Yeah, Trinidad Chambliss. I may have overreacted last week. I was just thinking this morning, especially after seeing how he played and Ole Miss played yesterday. Maybe if he came out in the draft, I wouldn't have him as my number 2 quarterback. Maybe he'd be more like 4 or 5. But he would be an intriguing prospect, I think, late second round, early third round. Maybe it was a stretch for me to say all of a sudden he's jumped Dante Moore in this quarterback draft class. Now, he might still go back to Ole Miss. He's still waiting on the NCAA's decision on his waiver and his eligibility. But I do like Chambliss. I do really like him. Andy Watson saying replace both coordinators. I think you just got to see how the season plays out. I think Arthur Smith, for the most part, is safe if he wants to come back because of the Aaron Rodgers relationship. I was going to say, if we lay an egg in the playoffs, then maybe he's gone. But I still think running it back with Smith, Rodgers, trying to have some continuity would outweigh any bad shit that happens in the playoffs from an offensive standpoint, and how we finish the season, winning the division and all that. Not saying it's right or wrong. That would just be my guess. And then from a defensive standpoint, yeah, I do think Terrell Austin should be on the hot seat. I do. Because even with the defense playing better over the last month, there's still too many little lapses in the defense, and it hasn't been perfect. I still don't think the defense has fully lived up to what the expectations are. Granted, we've had some injuries. We've had some moving of chairs with the roster and this secondary. Derek Harmon's been hurt, and we see how much of an impact he's had. So we've definitely patchworked things. We've had to grind it out, but I still think the defense as a whole has been a letdown this year. And there's been too many times where I think it's less about the players and more about our preparation, or at least lack thereof, in some of these moments. Right. Raheem Morris wouldn't be a bad guy to go get. I'm trying to think of other names. Obviously, Brian Flores would be awesome, but he's going to be looking to be a head coach. I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head right now. Jim Schwartz from the Browns, actually. Jim Schwartz would be a top guy. He would be top 2 or 3 on my list. Because the Browns fired Stefanski, maybe there's a whole new regime change there. But I would look at Jim Schwartz if he got let go from the Browns. immediately. I don't think either one of them. Where's Shula coming from? I can't. What am I missing here? Aren't those both the Chargers guys? Am I missing something here? I thought Mentor was the Chargers DC and is Shula the Chargers offensive coordinator? I thought we were talking specifically defense. No, Shula. Oh, Rams. I'm sorry. That's where I got mixed up. They're both LA guys. That's where I got confused a little bit. Because isn't Greg Roman the Chargers OC? Yeah. Okay. Cleared that up right there. Yeah. Greg Roman, Chargers OC. Shula is the Rams DC. And Mentor is the Chargers DC. I don't think either, like, Chargers and Rams DC jobs, those are high-end DC jobs. With you having Jim Harbaugh as your head coach and McVay as your head coach. And those two teams are good playoff caliber teams year in and year out. I'm sure they have good relationships with the head coaches. So that'd be a tough sell, I think. We could try. I mean, we could try to overpay, but that's not typically something the Steelers do with their offensive coordinators or position coaches or anything like that. Yeah, we know this ain't happening. Ben Bro 4074. Bring back Kenny Pickett. He's a free agent. You could try to make the case that, hey, if Rodgers is coming back, you could try to have another guy waiting in the wings to develop underneath him. And who better than a dude that's familiar with the city, a former first-round pick, a lot of game-winning drives under his belt, than a Kenny Pickett. Maybe that's the QB room. Pickett, Howard, and Rodgers. I think they would just run it back. Pickett's not coming back here. I think that bridge has been burnt, so I'm kind of joking about the seriousness of that. But I think if Rodgers came back, they would just run it back with the same quarterback room. Rodgers keeps talking about how much he loves the guys in the QB room and how much they joke around with each other. Mason, he's really funny. Will Howard has been a guy that Rodgers is pouring into and trying to share a bunch of knowledge with because he thinks that Will Howard could be the future here. I think they would just have the same quarterbacks because Mason has 2 years under his contract. Will Howard's obviously here because of the rookie contract. And Rodgers would just come back on a 1-year deal. All right, let's get to this next topic that I have here. Or do we just want to get to these playoffs, these playoff quarterback rankings? We'll do the cut candidates real quick. I saw an article that suggested 2 Steelers linebackers could be cut candidates this offseason. And the main one is Patrick Queen because of his contract and what a cap casualty he could be if we release him. I guess the cap savings that we could have if we let him go. You look at it right here. $17 million on the cap hit. If we release him, it would be, man, I can't even read this right here. It would be $3.8 million on the dead cap. So that would be around $13 million in cap savings if we let Patrick Queen walk. Now you tell me, is an extra $13 million on the books better than having Patrick Queen here for $17 million? My guess would be is we just restructure it. Because who would we be getting better than Patrick Queen for just specifically next year? Who would we be getting better than him? We could draft the guy and have them develop in the wings, or we could sign someone. But I don't necessarily think they're going to be better than Patrick Queen. And he has his ups and downs. We have our complaints about him. Sometimes lack of effort shows up there. Sometimes he takes too much of a risk trying to make a tackle. But he's still a productive player. He did make a Pro Bowl last year, and you could say it was kind of a fake Pro Bowl. He went in as an honorable mention. It didn't really feel like he deserved it too much. Hell, Russell Wilson made a Pro Bowl last year just because of all the replacements and all the guys that were declining the invite to the Pro Bowl for one reason or another, partly due to injury, I'm sure. But Patrick Queen still, is in that vicinity when you're talking about inside linebackers, that type of caliber with the production. It's 120 tackles back-to-back seasons. Not terrible in coverage. Like you even saw last week, even though down the field, Zay Flowers beat him on that route. No one's expecting Patrick Queen to win that matchup. Whenever you're talking about a receiver of Zay Flowers' cachet going up against the middle linebacker and running a deep route, it's like, yeah, Zay Flowers is just naturally going to get open. But for the most part, Patrick Queen is fast enough. He's explosive enough to be sticky in coverage for an inside linebacker. He's not getting completely cooked. In fact, I think most of the time he's getting beat is in zone coverage. Maybe his eyes are off. He's looking the wrong direction. I think it's less about his man coverage compared to zone. I would want him back for at least another year. So figure out some way to maybe get that cap hit down, because I think that cap hit's too much for what his production is. I think he's more in the 10, 11, $12 million range. So restructure it, add it another year or two, maybe bump up the guarantees, and then you could have a decision on whether you keep him in 2027 or 2028. But I think you want to make sure somehow, some way he's here, but you also want to get that cap hit down. That would be my guess as to what the Steelers, Omar Khan, Patrick Queen, and his agent try to come up with. Now, Malik Harrison, this might be a little bit of a different story because his cap hit is $6.7 million. And the dead cap, again, I can't really read this. I don't even know if you guys can read this either. I'm sorry if this is too small. I think that's a 2 million flat. It looks like 2.0 there. So his cap hit 6.7. Dead cap would be 2 million. It'd be around almost 5 million in savings if you let Malik Harrison go. And with him being injured, I just don't know if the production meets that cap hit flat out, or would be enough to overweigh the savings that we could get from releasing Malik Harrison. He's in the same boat though of like, I would want him back, but it's like, do we extend? How can you make that number a little bit lower? Like if we could have Malik Harrison on the books for 3 or 4 million, I think that's worthwhile because I think he is a nice piece to this defense. He was supposed to be like the run-stopping linebacker as a replacement for Landon Roberts. I don't think he's been as good as Landon Roberts, and he hasn't been as available as Landon Roberts. Honestly, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Just bring Landon Roberts back, but he's going to be another year older. I really liked what he brought to the table as a Steeler. I thought Malik Harrison was going to be, I wouldn't say an upgrade over Landon Roberts, just a more athletic Landon Roberts that could do more things. And he is more versatile in where you can move him. You could put him on the edge. He could play inside. But I just think we felt more impact from Landon Roberts whenever he was out there and stopping the run compared to Malik Harrison. So this one's more likely, from my standpoint, to be a cut candidate compared to Patrick Queen. But I'd still like Malik Harrison back. I'd like a way to figure this out. This isn't a dead set. We just got to release him. He's brought nothing to the table. Decent player, but you could see him getting beat on the edge sometimes. He's not as athletic as I was hoping coming into this season and what I saw from him with the Ravens. Now, part of that could be coming back from injury and whatnot, but I would say Malik Harrison more likely to get cut than Patrick Queen. I don't really think there's much debate to that, really. Yeah, I think we're going to have to figure out a way to restructure Jalen Ramsey's contract too, because I think his cap hit's not going to be optimal for this year or the upcoming years. A2A Style says, why keep Harrison? He hasn't made that much of an impact to keep. I see some benefits of him being out there with the run stopping. I think he does good certain things. He doesn't go above and beyond, though. That's why at that cap hit of 6.7 million, that's not worth it. But if you get him for 3 million, that would be worth it. You know what? I've been suggested this by some friends. Who knows? Maybe something in the future where I just post up and I give you guys my location. Say, like, here's where I'm tailgating. Show up. Bring your own beer. If you guys want to just chill with me before the game, get some of my takes. We go back and forth on Steeler Talk. Drink some cold ones. Have a good time. Could be a hit. Could be a good time. Maybe we'll think about that in the future. We'll see. Probably not for Monday night, though. I am going to the game. I don't want to lose track here and go off the deep end. But I did announce at the beginning of the show that I am going to go to the game And the post-game live stream will just be delayed because I'll be coming back to the crib from the game. So if you guys are down for it, live stream will probably start around 12:30 p.m., maybe 1 a.m. But I will get immediate reaction coverage out there at some point, 10, 15, 20 minutes directly after the game. But then we'll also do the live post-game just as an update, just so you guys can know what to look forward to on Monday night. What else you guys got in terms of these cut candidate takes? Patrick Queen, do you want him gone? Do you want Malik Harrison gone? Do you want them back? At what cost do you want them back? Jack Campbell would be dope, actually. Jack Campbell would be really dope. I would replace Patrick Queen for Jack Campbell. Yes, I would do that. Drew Sanders, I'm not as familiar with what he's been doing this year with the Broncos. I know he was highly touted coming out. I really liked him coming out. And I know the Broncos defense has been good, but has he been like a key staple for them? It doesn't really look like it. No, he hasn't even played this year. Why are we talking about Drew Sanders? What am I? Injured reserve. He hasn't played this year. 2024, he only played 4 games. Why are you bringing up Drew Sanders? I know for a fact Jack Campbell's been awesome with the Lions. I knew there was a reason why I haven't really seen much of Drew Sanders' tape or like any like highlight plays or big talk about him with the Broncos. I'm not replacing Patrick Queen for Drew Sanders. Jack Campbell, yes, that would make sense. Not Drew Sanders. I'm sorry. A2A style. Queen has done nothing to warrant being cut. I think you can make a case if you could bring in a quality replacement, at least someone that's the same level of Patrick Queen, and you would get a lesser contract. That's the only, but I don't think there's anyone that you could point to out there that's so glaring, like, and obvious, like, oh yeah, that guy's gonna just come in and be at least as good as Patrick Queen, and we're getting him for less money. Not off the top of my head, at least. If you guys could think of someone else, because I don't think Jack Campbell, if he's gonna be a free agent, I don't think he's gonna be getting a contract that's less than Patrick Queen. And if anything, Jack Campbell would probably be an upgrade over Queen. That's probably not happening. Yeah, Queen has had some interesting comments this year, not only about himself, but also the schemes of our defense and what our defense is being coached to do. There's definitely been more questions than answers when Patrick Queen talks about how we operate as a defense from the top down. And then him individually, he talks about on the Christian Kuntz podcast that, yeah, I saw some plays in the early weeks of the season. I'm looking at myself. I wasn't showing too much effort there. Yeah, I didn't do my best there. It's unacceptable. It's like, bro, why are we even talking about this? Why is this even a conversation? You're getting paid pretty handsomely. You're Steelers inside linebacker. And Steelers inside linebackers are supposed to give like 100% effort. They're supposed to be like the leaders of defense. They're supposed to be the dogs, man. Like that's the Steelers' history and tradition. Going back to the 70s, Lambert, and then going through the 80s and 90s with like Greg Lloyd and Kendrell Bell, James Ferry or Larry Foote. Hell, even Shazier. It's just like this is what the Steelers do. The Steelers do linebackers, and they do guys that are nasty and give 100% effort, no quit, blue collar. the fact that you're paid as our franchise linebacker and saying just like, yeah, that was bad look, no effort there. It's like, bro, why are we even talking about this, man? Why is this even a point of discussion? But he's done better since that point. And I guess you could credit him for some accountability, right? At least he admitted it. At least he's telling the truth as opposed to hiding it. He's holding himself accountable. He's saying, like, I'm better than that. And he has been, I think, for the most part this year. Levon Kirkland. Yeah, I know I'm missing some linebackers. I was just rattling off some off the top of my head. Jack Ham going back to the 70s. All right, let's get to this last topic. This one's a good one, man. This is what we've all been waiting for. my quarterback rankings. I don't have a graphic for it, but I do have the list for whenever I'm done. So I'm not going to be going like showing the players and where they rank one by one, but you'll see the final list once I say who my number one pick is. I thought long and hard about this. Really did. Took my time. This was a tough task because there's a lot of good quarterbacks, man. These playoff teams, there's a reason they made the playoffs. Think of the guys that are out and teams that are out of the playoffs right now. Bengals, Joe Burrow. Ravens, Lamar Jackson. Like, those dudes are out of the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes. And I'm still struggling with this list just because of how deep the quarterbacks are in the NFL right now. How quality the quarterback play is, really. I know we have our debates of like who's the lead, who's top 10 and everything. I think legitimately you could look at this league and say there's like, if you say someone's a top 20 guy, that's not necessarily an insult. It's not, because I'm going to rattle off 14 names here. And it's like all 14 of these guys are good. And then you think of the dudes that aren't in the playoffs that you would easily be putting in the top 5, top 10, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. It's like that 14th guy on this list all of a sudden becomes 17. And then you look at some other quarterbacks around the league. Maybe you could throw them in there. And all of a sudden that 14th guy is 20th. It's like, wow. Like for 19th or 20, best quarterback in the league. Like that's pretty good, actually. Now, Bryce Young, the guy that's 14th on my list, I think he's worse than 20. I'll say that. But Bo Nix is who I have at 13. I think if you said you add Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow on this list, maybe another guy or two that missed the playoffs, and you say Bo Nix would rank at like 18 or 19 across the league right now. For Bo Nix, again, I'm not the biggest fan of Bo Nix, but Baker Mayfield you could throw in the mix. That's a guy that's not in the playoffs that you would put in that range, right? Potentially over a Bo Nix. Probably not after this year, though. But if you're saying Baker Mayfield's like 18th or 19th, geez, your league's in a good spot. It really is. So those are my first two. Bryce Young at 14, Bo Nix at 13. Go ahead, react in the chat. Tell me I'm an idiot. I want to hear all the reactions of this list as I go. Well, maybe you could save it for the end, but you can give your raw reaction as I'm even going through this list. Bryce Young 14, Bo Nix 13, Sam Darnold at 12. And this list is actually, I borderline want to put Sam Darnold at 11 because Jordan Love is at 11. I was going to say some of my basis for this list is just who do I trust going into the play? I got a playoff game coming up. Who do I trust that they're not going to choke? They're going to get the job done for me. I like how Sam Darnold's been playing this year. Part of me thinks that he's overcome that weird ending to the Vikings season in 2024. But I can't, part of me is just thinking like I can't put Sam Darnold over Jordan Love because part of me thinks that Jordan Love is a weird playoff player. Like he's had his choking moments, but he's also had some big moments too. And Sam Darnold can't even say that. So I'm going to go Jordan Love over Darnold. Jordan Love at 11. Darnold at 12. Bo Nix 13. Bryce Young 14. CJ Stroud at 10. I think he's been more clutch. He's been more steady than Jordan Love in the playoffs thus far. He's won games. He's gone deeper in the playoffs than kind of you've expected thus far. Even though his sophomore year, he had a down regular season. I got him at 10. At 9, Justin Herbert. And probably a lot of people are thinking that's too low for him. And you could argue CJ Stroud's been better in the playoffs than Justin Herbert. And maybe he should be above Herbert. Herbert's just got elite talent that CJ Stroud doesn't have. But for what Justin Herbert does during the regular season, what his production is, what his talent is, like 9's actually kind of low. But to me, I'm thinking, what have you done in the playoffs, bro? 0-2. It was terrible last year against the Texans. And then going back to that Jaguars game, kind of choked. I mean, you were up, 4 scores? And you and that Chargers team choked down the stretch. And I don't think it was all on Justin Herbert. I think the play calling was terrible in the second half. But show me something in the playoffs, bro. I don't want to keep talking about your potential and how you're the prototypical quarterback that everyone's looking for in the modern era. Good arm strength, mobile, good leader. You put up good fantasy stats throughout the course of the season. Good touchdown interception ratio. It's like, dude, just win some playoff games. Just win. So again, I think CJ Stroud has done better than Herbert in the playoffs, but I think just Herbert's talent and stuff. You're thinking that, okay, 2 playoff games might be an outlier for what he's going to do in the playoffs for the course of his career. So he's going to just have to, I expect him to actually play good. So I think that's part of it too. I think he's going to overcome some of the playoff demons. And again, is why I have him over CJ Stroud. Drake May at 8. I just think he's had that good of a season. He's probably going to win MVP. And actually, you could break this thing down into tiers. I mean, I would have Drake May and Herbert like kind of in the same tier. It's just like, all right, show me more. Let's see what you do in the playoffs. But I'm giving Drake May the nod over Herbert just because of the season that he's had and the fact that he has no playoff history and stuff. And there could be something to be said for just walking into playoffs cold. You got that naivety to you, and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna go out here. I've had an awesome season, MVP type of season, a home playoff game. Let's just go out here and get it done. I haven't really played bad at all throughout the course of this season, so why start? Drake May at 8. Caleb Williams at 7. I low-key like Caleb Williams' like grittiness and some of those fourth quarter comebacks and stuff. Like, it's not really perfect with it. It hasn't been as steady with him this season in Chicago compared to Drake May. But there's been some resilience there with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, that Bears offense. And they kind of got their mojo going as a group going into these playoffs. So I for whatever reason, just think he's going to play better than Drake May. I do. I think Ben Johnson's part of that. But I think there's something to be said for Caleb Williams overcoming his rookie year, even though it wasn't a god-awful rookie year or anything like that. But a lot of that noise in Chicago, I mean, especially with the start that the Bears got off to this year, and really they hit their stride in the middle of the season, second half of the season. Caleb Williams has been a really damn good quarterback for them. Almost hit the 4,000-yard mark. That's been a milestone that a Bears quarterback has never hit. I think it's never hit, right? I don't even know if there's a date that you could point to. It's like they haven't hit the 4,000 mark since 1960. I don't think they've ever hit the 4,000 mark. Caleb Williams almost did it this year. And I think he's going to show up in the playoffs. But again, it's like the same tier. You could argue, I feel like, and then Trevor Lawrence would be the last guy of this tier. I got Trevor Lawrence at 6. 6, 7, 8, 9. Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Herbert. I think those dudes are like, just show me more. Extremely talented, prototypical size, prototypical quarterback you're looking for in 2026. But it's like, just show me more in the playoffs. And I think Trevor Lawrence, and this is why I have him over all the other guys, I think Trevor Lawrence has proven more than any of those other 3. Obviously, Caleb Williams, Drake May, no playoffs. But Herbert lost to Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars in that wild card game a few years back when Trevor Lawrence had to come back. And then whenever Lawrence went on the road against the Chiefs and Mahomes, Lawrence didn't play bad. He actually played pretty good. It wasn't his fault that they lost. It was the running back fumbling late in the game whenever they were down 10 and they had a chance to get it to one score. I forget who the running back. It might have been Etienne. I can't remember off the top of my head, but their running back fumbled and that cost them the game. Lawrence actually played pretty damn good. Now, he's been weird in these last couple of regular seasons because everyone was expecting him to take that next jump in the elite stratosphere. But he's also been hurt and weird coaching situations. Now with Liam Cohen, he's hit his stride. And I think going back to college, I mean, he won a national championship. It's like I think he relishes the big moments. There's something to Trevor Lawrence in these high-stakes games where I don't really think he's a choke artist. I don't really think he lives down to what's expected of him. Whereas I've seen that with Justin Herbert. That's why I have Trevor Lawrence over Justin Herbert. And I just feel like, again, this is a lot based off feeling. I just think Caleb Williams, Drake May are going to perform pretty good, even in their first year. I've seen enough from them in, I guess this would be their sophomore year thus far. I mean, they obviously got playing time in their rookie year, but I've seen enough in their sophomore year and how they've taken this jump and how both of them have faced adversity in a way. Like Drake May doesn't have like the best offense or surroundings or anything up there in New England. gets Vrabel in there, and that team goes from the record that they were in 2024 to winning the AFC East, almost getting the 1 seed. And then same thing with Caleb Williams, like Bears, dumpster fire, Eberflus. Then they get Ben Johnson in there, even with a rocky start, a lot of noise around Caleb Williams. Is he going to live up to being the number 1 overall pick? And, had a hell of a season. So I just don't think they're going to blink with the playoffs coming around. I don't. So for 4 and 5, I actually just did a tied for 4th because I'm going back and forth on this one. These dudes are playing each other in the first round. 49ers versus Eagles, Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts. So this is another tier right here. Another tier. First tier, actually, I have 2 tiers. 2 tiers already. You know what? No. 3 tiers. This is going to make more sense whenever. Actually, we won't do the tiers right now. I'm sorry. I'll tell the tiers or go over how I have these guys ranked in tiers whenever I pull up the graphic for you and you guys could visualize it because it's probably more confusing as I'm trying to go through it. But I think that is a tier in and of itself. 6 through 9, Lawrence, May, Herbert, or Lawrence, Williams, May, Herbert. Extremely talented guys. Just need to see more. Like, I think you're a franchise quarterback. You've proven enough that you could lead a team throughout the course of a regular season, be a playoff contending type of team year in and year out for the most part because of your presence. But just you got to show more in the playoffs. At 4-5, though, I'm just doing tie for 4. I'm going Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts. Both guys, I think, are benefited from their teams. But they also step up in big occasion. They also step up in the playoff. They also have some say in how their offense does and how their team does because they don't shrink. Like Jalen Hurts, some of these playoff runs, Super Bowl showing, Super Bowl production that he's putting out there. It's like, yeah, dude, I get the Eagles have a good team, but Jalen Hurts shows up too. It's not in spite of him. And same thing with Brock Purdy. And I think more so than ever this year with Brock Purdy and the 49ers. The 49ers have been the most banged up team in the league. Brock Purdy coming back from injury. Everyone's wondering with Mac Jones getting some starts this year. Oh, man, the Niners even need Brock Purdy? Is it more about Shanahan and you could just plug and play any quarterback? Did they overpay Brock Purdy? Is it too much? And then he comes in and he plays even better than Mac Jones. He elevates the team. So, like, for me, like I want to put Brock Purdy over Jalen Hurts based off of I think Brock Purdy's just playing better quarterback right now. I think he's just the better quarterback more recently this season. But you got to give credit to Jalen Hurts for having the ring. Now, Brock Purdy was like seconds away, minutes away from winning a ring a few years back. And I think Brock Purdy played admirably in that Super Bowl, in that playoff run, was clutch leading up to that appearance. So, like, that's why I'm going back and forth with the two, and they're playing each other. So I'm just going to go T4. These are 2 guys that I trust in the playoffs that are going to show up flat out. Even though they have traditionally good teams around them, I don't think Eagles 49ers are going to lose because of their quarterbacks. I think they're going to show up, and it might just be a good game, and it comes down to the wire, and may the best team win. So that's a tier right there. Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, guys that have been criticized before for not being the most talented quarterbacks or feeling like they have good surroundings and they're being carried by their team in a way. Like they wouldn't be able to do what they're doing in their situations if they were on another squad. But low key, when it's playoff games, it's playoff time, crunch time, they show up and they actually elevate. They rise to the occasion and they carry their team with them. And then we got at 3. This one was tough. I was going back and forth here. But I'm going to go Matt Stafford at 3. Josh Allen at 2. I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers at number 1. That's my list. Let me pull it up for you guys. And this may contradict what my initial list was whenever I was asked about quarterback rankings on Monday. Did a live show Monday, and that was kind of sprung on me, and I was trying to list off the playoff quarterbacks and how I would rank them. I just struggled, so I was like, "I'll do it. Let's do it at a later time," and we're doing it right now. I think initially I said Josh Allen, and Stafford maybe above Rodgers, or at least Josh Allen 1 and then Rodgers. Had a change of heart. I really did. With how Rodgers played these last couple weeks, with how Rodgers has been playing the last month, and especially that last one without DK Metcalf, dude's playing with house money, bro. Dude is playing with house money. He's going into these playoffs free, man. He's got nothing to prove. Just won the division with the Steelers. Had the bounce back year that he needed after his Jets stint. And it's like, bro, he's got 4 MVPs. He's already got the Super Bowl. Like any type of playoff run, any type of good playoff performances, that's just like icing on the cake for his career. Josh Allen, still no Super Bowl. Still no Super Bowl, and probably his worst team around him compared to the last like 5-6 years. This is probably the least legitimate Buffalo team that Josh Allen has had. Now, that's the thing. Josh Allen does elevate the players up there in Buffalo, and, you know, there is something to be said for what Josh Allen brings to the table from a passing game standpoint, a running game standpoint, and how he does put the team on his back. But I don't know if this is going to be his best playoff performance coming up here. I really don't. The turnovers have been up for Josh Allen this year, and we know he can be erratic with his play. Whereas Rodgers, when's the last time he had a pick this season? And you see how he's operating and how this offense has hit its peak at the right time as we're heading into the playoffs. And Rodgers, without DK Metcalf, was putting on a clinic last week in the highest stakes game the whole season. AFC North on the line at home. Things are looking bleak. We're down 10-3 at halftime. There's no DK. Our guys aren't getting open at all. MVS, Thielen, nowhere to be seen. We got to be dumping it off to the running backs. And Rodgers somehow makes it happen. He's picking his spots. Calm as a cucumber. So I think Aaron Rodgers outperforms Josh Allen in these playoffs. I think if it comes down to Steelers-Bills next week, Aaron Rodgers outduels Josh Allen in that divisional round. I think Aaron Rodgers has a better playoffs than every quarterback on this damn list, and that's why I got him number 1. That's why. So if you want to talk about faith, if you want to talk about what we're going to see in the playoffs, refer to this list. Wait, I pointed wrong. Refer to this list because this is how it's going to be. I get Josh Allen right now more in his prime than Rodgers, more dynamic, more stats this season, more stats the last couple seasons, won an MVP last year. I'm talking about who do I want at quarterback tomorrow. I want to win a game. And this is what I was about to say. Don't give me like, oh man, Josh Allen doesn't have much to work with and he uplifts the team. What do you think Rodgers was dealing with last week? That's my point. I get it. He's not as mobile as before, but he's got it up here and he's still got the arm strength. You saw all those tight window throws, those lasers that he was dropping all over the place. He's playing with house money. He's playing free, playing with house money. Team of destiny. I got Rodgers at 1. I talked myself into it. Don't hate the player, hate the game. What do you guys think? Oh, and here's a stat. Here's a stat to back me up, actually. Aaron Rodgers has better playoff numbers than the rest of the 6 quarterbacks in the AFC tournament combined. So if you want to talk about experience, successful experience, not only does he have a Super Bowl, but just look at the numbers. Aaron Rodgers ain't the reason Packers only won one Super Bowl in the Aaron Rodgers era. Aaron Rodgers ain't the complete reason. There's a couple seasons you're just like, yeah, he kind of underperformed here. But a lot of them, it was the defense letting him down. A lot of those scenarios. The one was when the special teams player on the onside kick against Seattle hit off his chest, goes back to Seattle, and Russell Wilson wins it in overtime. That's not Aaron Rodgers. They would have went to the Super Bowl that year. Would have went to the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, there's some stat out there. For his playoff games, the Packers defense has let up like an average of 26 or 27 points per game compared to other quarterbacks like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, where their defenses only let up like 20 points. It might even be less than 20 points, like 20, 21 points. So, like, it's not Aaron Rodgers' fault that Packers didn't really live up to their full ceiling with Aaron Rodgers being their quarterback. It wasn't Aaron Rodgers' fault. Just look at the stats. 6,000, almost 6,000 yards, 45 touchdowns, 13 picks. Bo Nix, Drake May, Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud, and Josh Allen combined. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all AFC quarterbacks. All the AFC quarterbacks. And Josh Allen's done well in the playoffs. 482 of 704. Percentage completion percentage, which is less than actually, I don't know. That's not less than Rodgers. Never. I was gonna say that's trying to do the math in my head. That's not a worse completion percentage than Rodgers. We'll put it to you that way. But less yards, 5,699 yards, 37 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Same amount of games. 22 total games for all those quarterbacks. 22 total games for Aaron Rodgers. So if we're talking about trust, we're talking about who we feel like we could count on in these playoffs. With how the Steelers have been playing, with how Rodgers has been playing down the stretch here, without a DK Metcalf, with it being backs up against the wall and situations in every one of these games, we had to almost win out to get into the playoffs after going 6-6, and Rodgers getting banged up, left wrist injury, nose broken, bloodied. Dude has rose to the occasion, to say the least. That's my list. That's my list. Not trolling. Don't call me biased. That's the energy I had whenever I was putting this list together. It's what naturally came to me. It's just naturally what I felt in my bones. I'm like, wait. Who do I want? Who do I want? Give me 8. Give me 8 with all the chips on the table. How do you guys feel about that list? Let me pull the list back up. Give me your takes on this thing. Oh, so here's the tiers. Let me go back to the tiers. I think top 3 are like, we've seen them perform well in the playoffs. They either have a Super Bowl to their name or they haven't shrunk in the playoffs or big moments. All 3, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Stafford, and they have super talent, MVP caliber type of talent, type of play, elite quarterbacks in this league, right? That's that tier. And then I said with Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts. Yeah, they perform in the playoffs, but they just don't have the same amount of talent than Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Stafford. So that's the next tier with those 2 players. Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Justin Herbert, super talented. Just need to see more in the playoffs. I believe you're a franchise quarterback. I do. You've shown it in the regular season at least. Let's see more in the playoffs. CJ Stroud, Jordan Love, Sam Darnold. That might be a tier of like, I've seen good moments from you, but I'm just not all the way there just yet. Not all the way there for whatever reason. With Stroud, of those 3, he's performed best in the playoffs, most consistent at least. But I don't think he's as talented as Jordan Love or Sam Darnold. Doesn't have the arm strength like them. I don't think is able to elevate his surroundings like a Jordan Love and Sam Darnold when they're firing on all cylinders. But CJ Stroud has been more consistent. Whereas Jordan Love, Sam Darnold, they've had some low lows in the playoffs up to this point. Jordan Love has had a higher high than Sam Darnold. That's why I have him at 11 and Sam Darnold at 12. And then the next tier, see, maybe we just Bo Nix, Bryce Young. It's the Bo Nix, Bryce Young tier. Maybe I think Bryce Young's in his own tier, and maybe Bo Nix is in his own tier. Maybe Bo Nix belongs in that Stroud, Love, Darnold tier. I don't know. But you see what I mean? Like, you could break this list up into tiers, and maybe within the tier, you could argue what quarterback belongs where. And I bet you guys wouldn't have Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts as high as me. Stafford 1. Okay. I mean, you could argue it. I get it. Rodgers should have been 15, so he could be AR 15. No, that means he'd just be an honorable mention on the list. Lawrence should be above Purdy and Hurts. I just can't. I don't know. The talent for sure. I'm with you on the talent. Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts don't like choke in the play. I've seen them go on playoff runs and perform well in Super Bowls and come up clutch. Yeah, they've had good teams, but even when their teams have not been as good and there've been injuries and weird situations, like, they step up. Because even with the Eagles last year, it wasn't all pretty for them throughout that season. Like, they weren't like the best team in the league heading into that playoffs, but then they went on a hell of a run, and Jalen Hurts really stepped up. Like, there was a lot of question marks about his game throughout the course of that regular season. Eagles not passing too much. what's going on between him and A.J. Brown, but he played really good. Playoffs and Super Bowl. Yeah, that's what I mean. Hurts, he just delivers. You know what I mean? Like he plays good. More so than all the other quarterbacks on this list. I just have more faith in him that he's going to show up than the other guys at this point. I do. Same with Brock Purdy. Now I could see if they've won games and you just feel like they're being carried by their team and it's not fully because of them, but with Purdy and Hurts, it is because of them. They are big driving factors in their team success and going on Super Bowl runs. I don't have an update on Deshaun Elliott. I'm sorry. Yeah, Hurts won a Super Bowl last year. I like that shit. You got to give credit there. You do. Something to be said for winning a Super Bowl. Not easy to do. Something to be said for playing good in consecutive games in the playoffs against really good teams. String that consistency along. It's something to do it for one game. What do you do it? Do you do it in 2 games? Do you do it in 3 games? Like Jordan Love did it in that one game against the Cowboys, that one playoffs, like it went off. Now, part of that was Cowboy self-destruction. But what do you do in the Niners game after that? Choked in the second half, choked in the fourth quarter. Solid rankings. Thank you. Not bad. Not bad. Some may say the Rodgers one is a little biased. Some may say that. Some may say. I'm not. You got any more takes with this list? Would you consider Trinidad Chambliss? Yeah, we talked about that a little bit last week and a little bit earlier in this show. Yeah, I would. Yeah, like the 3rd or 4th round. I think maybe even late second. I don't know. But like that's where I think his range would be if he came out. Thank you, JV Free. Only idiots will say Rodgers number 1 shows bias. Thank you. What else we got? Might be it then. Might be it. I thought I was going to get more reaction on this ranking list. We might just call it. You're not way off on the rankings. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like you could, again, with the tiers, you could maybe put Herbert at 6 if you want, and Lawrence at 7, and you could switch around some of the players in the tiers just based off personal preference. But I think there are definitive tiers. Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and the Bryce Young Bo Nix tier. Yeah, these are just the quarterbacks in the postseason. Right, yeah. If I could put Mahomes, Burrow, and Lamar in here, they would be definitely above. They would be above probably Brock Purdy and Hurts. Yeah. I don't know if they'd be above Aaron Rodgers, though. Aaron Rodgers, these playoffs, I think it's just going to hit different. I just got that feeling. It's going to be like a 2010 version of Aaron Rodgers, but he's 42 years old. Somehow, some way. He's not going to be as mobile, but he's going to be operating at a different level. He's going to be playing free, playing with house money. Like it's just meant to be. Like this run's meant to be. Like someone in the skies, someone on his ayahuasca trip told him, just live in the moment in January. Just in these football games, just go out there and do what you were meant to do. And everything's going to be in alignment for you. And you're going to be holding the Super Bowl trophy up when the second week in February comes around. This is what I mean. Like, we could talk about other players carrying. It's like Matt Stafford. He's got Puka. He's got Devontae Adams out there in LA. He's got McVay calling the plays. Now, Josh Allen, yes, I do think he carries Buffalo, but let's not act like Rodgers hasn't been carrying the Steelers to a good degree this year. And especially that Week 18 game without DK Metcalf. Like, holy hell. Without a Darnell Washington, too. We finally got Pat Freiermuth involved. Road to 7. Let's go. Let's go. It's playoff time. Oh, man. All right, I thought people would be hating on this list. DK Glazer Force's list is low-key valid. Nice. Trevor Lawrence ahead of Purdy. I can't do that. I can't do that. I really can't. Brock Purdy's having a hell of a season. I think he's like the second or third in QBR coming off of injury this year. But then he has playoff accolades. He already has like a playoff history that not many of these quarterbacks on this list can compete with. A lot of unknowns with these quarterbacks. It's a fun era for the NFL. It's a fun playoffs for the NFL too, because we don't have Mahomes in there. We don't have our sure things. We don't have Mahomes and Burrow. So like a lot of resumes and scripts can be written here with how some of these quarterbacks do. A lot of narratives are still out there. Questions can be answered with how Lawrence plays, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Herbert. Just a lot of experience can be had for some of these quarterbacks if any of them go on runs. Seriously. How about just the competition? DK Glazer says Howard or Chambliss. I think that would be, when you get Chambliss in the third round, there's your competition for the future down the line if Rodgers comes back. Yeah, the hats are sick. If you want the non-losing season champs hats, as I said earlier in the show, no one can take that away from us. Win, lose this week, we do non-losing seasons better than anyone in the NFL. And it's like a cool little style. It's like a cool little ode where it's just like, if you know, you know. It's a subtle, provocative, gets the people going. Not too heavy-handed. It could mean anything. Like some people think that might just be a brand. It has nothing to do with football. It has nothing to do with Steelers. Well, non-losing season champ. What's that? What is that? What's that mean? What's that stand for? Yeah, the hat is dope, man. I mean, you guys seen me. Do I have one here? Where's it at? No, I don't have it on me. But the hats are dope. I just like wearing them. I like wearing them out. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Travel with Ebby. Are we wearing your hat Monday night watching the game from a cruise ship? Oh, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. If you're not going to the game, that might be like the next best option of where to be watching the game at. I would say like a local bar, local Pittsburgh bar, just to get that still Pittsburgh Yinzer energy. But cruise ships probably top 3. If you can't be at the game or at a Pittsburgh bar, cruise ship's a hell of a spot to be watching this Monday night game. Bundle them hats. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yes. Wild card. Maybe yes. Yes, promo code wildcard. Give me like 30 minutes or something. I'll get it, and I'll put it down in the comments. Promo code wildcard. Non-losing season champs hats. 25% off until maybe Monday. Or not Monday. We'll go Tuesday. Sometime noon on Tuesday. So we don't even know what the result's going to be on Monday night. I'm predicting a win. But win or lose, promo code wildcard, noon on Tuesday. That's when it's going to end. Give me 30 minutes after this stream, and I'll get it up. Like I said, I'll post it in the call, pin it in the comments. If you guys want 25% off. I am going to the game. So update for you guys that are here in the chat. Let me get this list down. Update for you guys. I am going to the game. So that means the post-game live stream will be delayed a little bit. Whenever I get back to the crib, we'll go live. 12:30, 1 a.m., whenever it is. But I will get some more instant reaction out to you guys from the stadium or close to the vicinity of the stadium, given like my instant react. This is how I'm feeling for, a 5-10 minute video, whatever it is. And then, so that'll be up there, but then we'll go live. I could chop it up with you guys a little bit later after the game, maybe 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. If you guys are down for it, if you guys are still up, I know the Cali people might still be up. And if you miss it, you can watch it in the morning. You keep your word, Deke. Is that a statement or a question? I think I do keep my word outside of, like, when I say I'm doing a live stream, I feel like I do them. I might be a couple minutes late. Today I was on time, though. I'm trying to be better, man. I'm a work in progress. I really am. A work in progress. Just trying to be better. All around. Yeah. You're going to get a lot of compliments. You're going to get a lot of chicks looking at that hat and saying like, whoa, who's this? Fits good. The structure of it. hits. Really brings out a person's best features, I think. Hip hop head 9296 I'm gonna get so much ass in that hat. It's tough not to. Really is. DK Glazer 4 in Hawaii, so easily listen to the post game. Thank you. Yeah, it'll be like, I don't know. Well, oh man. I was gonna say it'll be I got distracted there. Sorry. It'll be like what? Probably be like 8 o'clock for you guys, 8 p.m. or something, 7 p.m. in Hawaii. That would be my guess. Yes, you know what? I kind of did have a beard, but I just got my hair cut. That's the problem. So I shaved with the haircut. I had a little bit. Yeah, that was on me. Maybe playoff beard if we just keep winning. How about that? It starts now. Like playoffs start now. Even though you could argue playoffs were last week because we need to win to get in. Playoffs officially start now. So yeah, we'll keep a beard going. That's a good thought. I didn't even think of that. Score prediction. 28-17 Steelers from Robert Deringer. 2034. I'll give my prediction tomorrow. I think I'll do another video tomorrow. I didn't really get to the Steelers-Texans preview today. Talked about a bunch of other shit. Arthur Smith and cut candidates, my QB rankings. There was another topic I even had on deck just in case. JV free. Yeah, that's why I got him number one. I got him number one on this list. Steelers West has a 3-point win. Steelers 31-28. Steelers 31, Texans 28. Any comments that I missed? Any paid comments I missed? I want to miss those. Avery, yes, I did. Sorry, bro. Sorry if you're still here. I think this is, when did you comment this? 3:59. So this is about 30 minutes ago. It says I'm at work, so I'm late. Cut Patrick Queen after this season. PQ undercuts blocks to avoid contact, causing big runs. We do see that sometimes. Yes, I will admit that. He's not a perfect player. I think he's given us more positive than negative though, overall. There's some head-scratching moments with him. There's some moments you're yelling at the TV with him. Like, what the hell are you doing? But I think overall he's been good for us and worth bringing him back. Can we just lower the cap hit a little bit from $17 million? Because I think and this is how the contract got situated. This is typically how GMs do it. You front load the contract a little bit, get the cap hits down, give them the guaranteed money up front, and then you bump that higher cap hit till their last year. But typically at that point, they can become a cap casualty because the dead cap's low. And that's what we did with Patrick Queen. It's like a 3-year deal, and it averaged, I forget, wasn't it like 11 per year? Averaged out to be 11 per year, and we pushed back the high cap hit till his 3rd year. Like I think he was dealing with cap hits. Well, let me just pull it up right now. I can pull it up. Look. Oh, 2025 was a big cap hit. I'm sorry. I thought we spaced it out better than that. It was $6 million in his first year, but then $17 million second year, and then $17 million in 2026. But on a per year basis, that based off his contract, it should be, if you wanted the cap hit to equal out how much the contract length was and the contract amount, it should be, because that's 34 million plus the 6. Yeah, it's around 41 million. 3 years, 41 million, which is, what's my math? Oh my God, that's terrible. Actually, it's like is it 15 million? It's less than like 14 million. Yeah, 14 million. A little less than 14 million is what, if the cap hits were perfect in congruence with what the contract was. So this year and next year, it'll be the cap hits a little bit more than what we're actually paying him. But that's just how Omar, that's how you can move the numbers around and shit. So we had him at a value on the cap hit in 2024, but you got to pay for, you're kicking the can down the road. You got to pay for that later. And in this last year, we don't have to pay it if we don't want to because of that dead cap. You know, we could save like 13 million if we wanted to release them. And usually with these contracts, they're not all fully guaranteed. It'd be a different story if it was fully guaranteed. You see what pain in the ass Deshaun Watson's contract is with the Browns. But since Queens wasn't fully guaranteed, that's when you can get the discrepancy of the cap hit versus the dead cap typically in the last year or two of the contract, and players become cap casualties. Like that 41 million that he's getting on the face value is probably really, the guaranteed was probably like 30 million, I would guess. 30, 35 million. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Enjoy your Friday. This was dope. This was fun, man. I can't believe I'm talking for like an hour, 30 minutes. I can't believe I'm just doing this for like a living either, just to be real with you guys. This wasn't necessarily in the plans for my life. It just kind of happened to me. Like, I didn't go to media school. I didn't, you know what I mean? Didn't go to any of this shit. Moats gave me a chance, man. Moats gave me a chance. And yeah, I guess just made the most of my opportunity with it. Just kind of worked at it. Big shout out to Moats for giving me the opportunity. It's funny because I wasn't even supposed to be like talking football or anything with him. It's like the first 6 months I was just doing behind the scenes where I was doing the video stuff for him. We were doing Instagram stuff. I just told him, I said, if you want to do more content or do different things, I got experience with producing podcasts. I know how to do audio and stuff. And he was actually hesitant at first. And then at some point he was like, yeah, let's try that thing out. And then, yeah, that's when things started from that standpoint. Yeah, I was just trying to find a way in this world, just trying to, it just so happens I've always been a big Steeler fan. I've always been into sports. So it worked out, knowledgeable, and I know my shit. As you guys could tell. But all right, I'm out of here, man. I'm out of here. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll get us some content, get us like a Steelers Texans preview. Maybe I'll have some like prop bets or something like that. But hope you guys enjoyed. Stay chilling. Have a great, safe weekend. Peace.